The Nerd and Tie podcast is, unsurprisingly, a part of the Nerd and Tie podcast network. For more podcasts from actual play to true crime to witchcraft, just go to nerdandtie.com or join our Discord by finding an invite at nerdandtie.com/discord. Did you know you could sponsor Nerd and Tie? That's right, for $20, we'd say your name here. We'd talk about how cool you are and maybe high-five you if we ever see you in person and are willing to touch you. Just go to nerdandtie.com, click on the sponsor information at the top, and follow the instructions. Or you can support our legal fund by going to gofundme.com/nerdandtie.
On this month's edition of Nerd and Tie, Gen gives us the EverCon report. Trey breaks down the newest seasons of Star Trek Discovery and Picard. I talk about why we may not need Footy Cootie to be a franchise. We hype up No Brand Con and get ready for the Vomit Hat Steve Challenge. All of that on this month's Nerd and Tie.
Woo!
In the house, we are back. So happy to be in the Nerd Dome again. As always, I'm working on branding right now. Maybe I may not always be Nick Izumi. That's questionable actually at this point. So I apologize.
Currently Nick Izumi.
Currently Nick Izumi.
At point of recording.
Change. At point of recording, yes. You know, that things change. Things change all the time. It's to everything turn, they say. We have a pretty fun episode lined up for you guys, and I'm really excited to introduce my fabulous co-hosts, the one who went to EverCon. We've got Gen Proc.
Yo, what up?
And the one putting me to shame as a Star Trek fan, as always, my buddy Trey Dorn.
I am a person, and I watch things with my eyes and hear them with my ears.
Yay, good job.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
I also binge watched all of season 2 of Bridgerton this weekend, but I don't think that's coming up on this show.
Have not watched any of that.
No.
Oh, it's real interesting to contrast. Like, I also watch Outlander, and it's the one thing about Outlander is the sex is just very disappointing in Outlander, but it's actually like Bridgerton, people appear to actually be enjoying having sex with each other, and it's very, very like refreshing after like watching really boring sex on Outlander.
Is that legal? Are we allowed to do that on TV?
Well, they're on premium networks, so Starz
okay.
and Netflix. So
Yeah.
yes.
So yes.
Look, do I sign up
Nice.
for Starz exclusively when Outlander is airing? Yes. Am I embarrassed by this? No, I am not. Is it kind of weird to look back at like all of those like Angry Goat production episodes and articles I wrote back when they were like screwing over the Outlander fans, and I hadn't watched a single episode of the show yet, and like retroactively like looking back at that community now, knowing what the heck they were talking about? It is very strange.
I mean, fair, yeah.
And with myself getting a burgeoning interest in historical dress, I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Oh yeah, no, you can't watch any of these shows and expect any sort of historical accuracy. Bridgerton is
I fully understand.
Bridgerton's intentionally anachronistic in many ways.
Yeah.
It's not about the history. It's about the banging. If you're watching Bridgerton for historical accuracy, you have signed up for the wrong show. Go watch The Gilded Age over on. Go watch The Gilded Age over on HBO Max or something, because that is not what you're going to get with Bridgerton.
That is literally the opposite of how my college career went with my history degree. There was a lot of history and there was very little banging. Just like not to tell on myself, but oof. Not a good time.
Oofs.
Anyway. You know what's not a big oof in my experience?
What?
EverCon. But I wasn't there this year. But you were, again. What did we miss?
Yeah, so EverCon is one of our favorite conventions up here in Wisconsin. It takes place in Rothschild, which is just south of Wausau. For those of you who want to
it takes place
look
in
it up,
Wausau. You don't need to. It takes place in Wausau. You don't.
basically.
The convention center says it's like in Wausau when you go to their website, even though it's in Rothschild.
Yeah. It's suburbs and whatnot.
As much suburbs as you get in Wausau.
Yeah. But anyways,
Like
I went to
calling
EverCon.
Altoona a suburb.
I mean, but I digress.
There's sorry, this is like real, obscure Wisconsin town conversation that most of our listeners do not care about, and I apologize.
They want to hear what happened at the
I'm
con.
sorry.
They want to hear about
the first
convention.
con of the year, and what's interesting about this EverCon as opposed to previous ones is they moved dates. So normally EverCon happens the first weekend of January, like the very first con of the year type of thing.
Yeah.
And this year they happened in the beginning of March. Yes, I have my months correct. Ugh.
Yes.
Time for construct.
This is the March episode, Gen. You're fine.
So it was, I don't know. I don't know their numbers for this year off the top of my head, but I think it went pretty well. I was stuck in the vendor room all day, selling my wares as I do, but from in there, things seem to be pretty hopping, pretty popular.
Yeah, I confess I was going to go and hang out with you again, but my partner and I were told that they weren't going to be enforcing any sort of mask policy, and what with the chronic illness and that, we just opted out of it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And
that's much safer for your spouse.
Yeah, also small town Wisconsin. I probably shouldn't be surprised, but still.
Yeah, I had originally considered going, but I run No Brand Con, full disclosure, that's in April, and I was just like, I don't have the emotional energy to prep to get my con stuff back together in operating working order before then. And then when they announced that they weren't going to have a mask mandate and they weren't going to have a vaccine mandate, or even I don't think they even had negative COVID test requirements.
No.
That it was just with no COVID precautions, that I understand that when they held it was pretty much our lowest COVID rates in a long time, but
yeah,
it's still it's still not safe. And so I'm disappointed with their staff for running the convention in those conditions.
Well, and from what I can tell, some of their staff changed.
Yeah.
The guy who had been head of the convention for a number of years was not.
Well, I think he wasn't last year also.
Was he? Okay.
Or I think he wasn't originally for this planned year, I don't think.
Yeah.
It's I remember because when we reached out to their organization for other stuff, it wasn't the same guy who I was usually dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they had some staffing changes.
Yeah.
So that probably coincided with policy changes. Because I did notice the cosplay contest was a bit bigger thing this year for them. They didn't usually have that as a huge thing in the past.
They had I didn't even realize they ever had a cosplay contest.
They have in the past, but it's been real low key.
Real low key, and this year was much more played up, much more of a thing. Because they have the way that the con is set up is they have a main area that's full of tabletop gaming, and you can go and they have the gaming library. You can go and quote unquote rent out the games you want to play, and they have scheduled games that people are hosting that you can sign up to join and whatnot. But it's a big central area that's just open and full of gaming. And this year they had the area mic'd up, So they had kind of like a PA system in there.
Okay.
So some of the staff members could go on the PA and like say over the loudspeaker, like, "Hey, this event is going on here," you know, to everyone there. And I think on Sunday they had like a trivia contest that like if you're there, you could just like participate. And I thought that was neat. Just
that's
yeah.
fun. I like that.
Yeah, so they've got some cool ideas. Yeah. Words.
Oh yeah, like I'm all in favor. I'm just it really just boiled down to me being disappointed with the lack of a COVID policy.
Yeah.
And again, maybe I shouldn't be shocked geographically with that area of Wisconsin, but
And from what I can tell, there was about,
but you know what I mean.
It was about half and half, maskers and unmaskers. Like, even though there wasn't a policy, there were still plenty of people who came with masks.
That's good, at least.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just very irresponsible.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's I'm highly disappointed with...
I'm not against you though, Gen. Like, it's not.
Oh yeah, no.
I mean, they're kind of like my hometown con now.
Exactly.
Oh, I know. I'm disappointed with them as an organization, not with,
yeah.
You know.
Like I fully, because the last it wasn't a con, it was an indoor craft fair I went to back in December, and that was like mask policy because they were in Madison and the whole city had the mask mandate.
Yeah.
And so like I was just like, I'm fine like being masked the entire time I'm at my table. That's no big deal for me.
Right.
But like, yeah, it's just, it was a thing and it happened. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like it went well. It sounds like they had good attendance. So it seems like they should be fine running next year and in the future.
Yeah.
So
fingers crossed, and I hope to go back and just hopefully they'll be, I don't know. Hopefully they'll be smarter going forward.
Yeah, and I do wonder if that would have been, because I remember like the previous staff was like super careful about stuff, and I wonder if this new staff arrangement is a bit more lax on things, but I don't know. Just speculating.
Yeah.
But hopefully we can all see each other there in the future.
No kidding, because I really do miss hanging out with you guys at Ever. Like, it is really one of my favorite things.
It's very unlike any other con we do. Like, that's the thing, is it's like EverCon is a con where like while we all tend to have tables there and like we're usually working, it's still a a much more relaxed environment, like, you know, because we're all going to be at No Brand Con, and we'll talk about that later this month. But here's the thing: that's like the opposite of a relaxed experience for me.
Yeah,
legit.
You know, it's like, yeah.
Well, I was worried about how they would be going forward, so hopefully this means that we will have another EverCon to look forward to in the future.
Yeah, I'm hopeful.
But you know, is there anything else that you wanted to share about it, Gen, or?
I had a great time. Sales were real good.
Excellent.
That is good, my friend.
So if you're close to Wisconsin and you want a
wholesome
con, a really good con to sell at, check out EverCon.
Check it out.
Unless you're a monster, and then don't, you monster.
Yeah, no, fewer monsters. No, then again, the last monster who went to EverCon kind of died. So, I'm
dark.
Sorry, too dark.
Going dark.
Little dark. I don't.
We all know what you're talking about, but that's super dark.
Super duper dark. I'm sorry.
I didn't feel bad when he went, but
I'm a bad person. Hey, but you know what? You know what isn't necessarily uh um hopelessly dark and sometimes even optimistic about the future? Star Trek.
Oh
And I
boy.
have not been keeping up. I have not
Then maybe
watched
you
the new
should take back that
seasons.
sentence. No,
As I say, oh boy. So
no,
who
it's
knows what kind of wonderful things I've been missing? Trey, what is going on in the world of Discovery and Picard?
okay. So, well, Star Trek is never ending now. And, it's between like at any given moment, there's a new season of something. And so we've seen most recently, the season 4 of Star Trek Discovery ended in the last couple of weeks, and then we've had the beginning of Star Trek Picard season 2. Now, because Nick hasn't seen any of this and is
I'm
intending
sorry.
to watch it, I don't mind spoiling again on things, but I'm not going to spoil Nick. um, so we continue to deal with Discovery in the current set in the timeline they are, where Discovery went from being before the original series to being after everything else we've ever seen in Star Trek, which has freed them up.
Probably a good move.
No, it actually is a very good move. It's given us some of the best stories that the show has done. It's been super enjoyable. So trying to figure out a good way to start this off.
Well, you can give like the basic rundown because like I can deal with light spoilers. I don't.
Well, okay, so the new season is has got the characters dealing with this thing called the DMA, which keeps throwing me off because of other things that I know DMA stands for.
I was about to say that, like that.
Like,
I also get thrown off by the DMA. My Cowboy Bebop video debuted half a week late because of the DMA. Oh no, that was the DMCA. I'm sorry.
That's the DMCA. No, the DMA. I always think of like the old it's a thing about configuring old hardware on old computers that you don't have to do anymore with modern card connection, but you'd have to like configure your DMA and your COM port and stuff, and real nerdy stuff. And I think there was also
your technomancy.
It's old school, man. I got like I got computers. But anyways, so it's like there's this weird like interspatial phenomenon that's like several light years across that is kind of going through the Alpha Quadrant and destroying stuff. And so they've got to, find the whole mystery of the season and the plot of the season, because Discovery is like modern Star Trek is not as episodic as the 90s shows. And although Deep Space Nine spent long times swaths being non-episodic, but a single serialized story for the season, and it's actually a really interesting mystery, and I don't want to spoil it too much, but kind of the main thing behind it is that the creators of the DMA, this I forget what they call the field, it's discovering think it's a natural phenomenon, discovering it's not a natural phenomenon, and then finding out who created it. And it's probably the most alien Star Trek has ever gone with an alien race.
Ooh.
It's really interesting, and it's really creative. There are some really dark moments this season, including like entire planets getting destroyed. But it's good. Like, it's still in the end a hopeful show, and so I think that it's.
I love the new uniforms. Like if there's anything that I can comment on, the new uniforms are, in my humble opinion, a step up from the blue uniforms from seasons 1 through 3, which weren't bad. I like the bright colors more.
Oh yeah, no, it's the bright colors are so much better, and like overall, I think that the look of the show has gotten great. They're now using in a mildly geeky production thing, they're now using a similar way to do virtual sets that they do on The Mandalorian and the Star Wars shows.
Oh, nice.
The giant projection screens. And so you get some really cool shots that you wouldn't have been able to do realistically before with like the new Starfleet Academy, and it's there's less Tilly this season. Tilly's there, but less of her.
That I'm not happy about. That makes me
It
grumpy.
makes perfect sense within plot, and nothing bad happens to her.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
I'm just going to spoil that right now. At the end of the season, Tilly is fine.
Oh, thank God. Okay, sorry, that's a concern of mine.
No, it's pretty
Favorite
sure
character.
Yeah, no. Tilly's the best character on all of television. And anyone who tells me otherwise, I will fight you.
Legit.
We will protect Tilly at all costs.
It's true.
Tilly is the best. Tilly's the person we all want to be friends with.
Also true. Absolutely true.
Yeah.
Favorite character by pretty not really by a wide margin anymore. Like the other seasons have really developed the characters to the point that I kind of love all of them in their own little way. But yeah, very happy I'll be seeing more of my girl, even if it's less of it.
Yeah,
less of more.
Yeah, I mean, like it's not that she's like absent from the seasons, but she's not in every episode. But let me think here. So yeah, no, it's like I know it's super vague, but I think the show has really hit its stride since they pulled them out of the 2250s. Like ever since they did that time jump, seasons 3 and 4, I think have been much stronger than especially more stronger than the first season. Season 2 is stronger than the first season because with season 2 they really kind of like figured out what they seemed to figure out what they wanted to know what they were doing. We still don't. We're getting closer and closer to that Short Treks episode, where the computer has named herself now. That name.
Yeah, that was my favorite Short Trek of all of them.
We are slowly inching towards that.
Things.
We are slowly inching towards that. So
excellent.
But we don't get there quite. Like there's so many times on this show though that I'm like, is something huge? Like we have to eventually get to that Short Trek, right? Like
that I'll admit has me a little concerned, but God, just loving it.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to returning to I don't know. Discovery started out on weird footing, but it honestly has become one of my favorites. Like it's done magical stuff, and I guess doesn't really relate to the current season, but like Discovery took Christopher Pike and turned him into one of my top 3 captains.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how Strange New Worlds goes, and that's going to premiere later this year. I think that's in May that premieres. So like I'm interested to see what happens with Strange New Worlds. They have cast in like I think season 2, not in the first season, but in season 2 an appearance of Kirk.
Yeah, that's that I'm a little weirded out by. I'm not opposed to it, but
I think it's a little strange because Pike's supposed to have that ship for 10 years and before Kirk gets to it. And which is why I'm not like I'm stressed. I think there's time travel shenanigans.
I'm hoping that's what they're gonna do, because it
Kirk's
feels
just not like it. It could just be like him being captain of a different he has the captain stripes on the uniform shots and the promo stuff. So and I think I'm pretty like he was. I think that the Enterprise is his first command. So I'm betting time travel shenanigans. It's Star Trek. Time travel shenanigans is like one of their main bits, which is why we're going to move on and talk about Star Trek Picard now.
Okay, yeah, I've been hearing a lot about time travel shenanigans with that one too, actually.
Yeah, so Star Trek Picard season 2 is all about time travel shenanigans, because something in the past has been changed and the timeline's been rewritten where Earth's an authoritarian state, and only a handful of characters know because of very specific circumstances that I won't spoil because it's a really cool scene. And pretty much the Picard cast. But it's Q's doing the change in the timeline, although they end up going back in time through a classic slingshot around a star.
Excellent.
Yeah, no, it is just like, but so but they're straight doing Star Trek 4 in many ways, to go back in time to save the future, even though they're going back in time to prevent a change to the timeline, to the point where they're directly referencing Star Trek 4 constantly. They mention, I mean, I know that Spock did the warp slingshot more than once, but they reference Spock in like the planning the calculations for time warp. But they literally do the bus scene. There is a punk listening to "I Hate You." Well, it's a new version of "I Hate You" called "I Hate You Still" or "I Still Hate You." I think the lyrics were slightly modified.
Is a classic.
But
of the Star Trek universe. It was a huge hit in the Star Trek timeline. And like you might not realize it, but whether or not people liked the song "I Hate You" actually led to the eugenics wars. This is Star Trek canon, according to me.
So 7 of 9 and Rafi are on a bus, and there is a punk guy with a mohawk blasting "I Hate You" on a boombox, and
excellent.
7 tells him to turn it down, effectively in the same line that Kirk and Spock asked him, the other punk in Star Trek 4, to turn it down. And he immediately becomes incredibly apologetic and almost cries. And so it's just kind of a you know, that's my only spoiler, is they do a riff on that scene and change the way it happens.
Okay, there is something else that already was spoiled for me, and I kind of love seeing people get upset about these things because it amuses me deeply. Was the Stargazer making a lovely return to screens?
It's a new ship with the
right.
name. Yeah, it's just Star Trek reuses ship names constantly.
Right? Also, like, I'm sorry, but my suspension of disbelief with Star Trek refits is super high because I've looked at models of the TV Enterprise next to the motion picture Wrath of Khan Enterprise and remember that that's supposed to be the same boat. Well, that's all I'm saying.
But importantly, in dialogue, they just say it's a new ship.
I know. It still cracks me up that it's like it was a refit, and I'm just like, it's a very extensive refit.
Well, the thing about the Star Trek, like let me tell you, the Stargazer in Picard in the first episode is not a refit of Picard's Stargazer. Picard's Stargate is NCC 2893. This is NCC 82893. All right. The original Stargazer was a Constellation class. The new Stargazer is a Sagan class.
Well, I think the new one is gorgeous.
Oh, it is gorgeous. I love it.
I was looking at the model of it and or the computer model, and yeah, I'm here for it. I'm absolutely here for it.
Yeah, it is canonic. Like there is I think there's a line that calls it a refit, but canonically it is a entirely new ship. It is yeah, it is like technically, like there's some like behind the scenes stuff where it's like some writer on the show made some comment about, like the showrunner made some comment about it being like maybe a refit, but since it's got a different registry and class, it is a different ship. Like the way canon is set, like if it has a new registry and is a totally different class starship, it's a different ship. And so everyone can calm down. I never read it as the same Stargazer.
I know. I don't know. I see there was a point where I used to be the kind of, and I cannot wait for Archemize, if you're listening to this, to definitely give me crap about this because I deserve it. There was a point when I was the kind of fan who got really frustrated by minutia malarkey like that, and it just doesn't matter. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everyone who cares about random science fiction minutia, but if the story is good, it's really not that important. I'm how long it took to build the spaceship, I just don't care. Or when it was built, where it was built, it's just not that important. I'm sorry. That's
all right.
Yeah.
But anyways, Captain Lancelot, I mean Rios, is.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I want him, and I want Santiago Cabrera in more things. I feel robbed because there is an alternate universe somewhere where Cabrera got to play Aquaman, and I want to see that movie.
Yeah, it's the Rios is who's also Isaac on Heroes. I forgot that. But yeah, he's being our Chekhov this season.
Excellent.
He has fallen. He has hit his head. He has ended up in custody.
Oh no.
They are, playing a bit of the social commentary with the modern day world and pretty much how terrible things are. There are mentions of sanctuary districts because we're keeping our continuity.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I'm excited to catch up. I know I'll probably enjoy it, but I don't know what's been going on with me. I have no good excuse. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's because the sanctuary districts are going to get increasingly worse. Like the show's taking place. The time I went back to was 2023. The sanctuary districts are supposed to be getting really bad in 2024. So, and also there's like little touches and like newspaper headlines to like the guy who helps Dax out in that episode of like, which all that's telling me though is like this is the thing with time travel on Star Trek is you have to remember that that 2-part episode of Deep Space Nine where they go to 2024. All the fashion in that episode is hilarious because that's how we're all supposed to be dressing in a year.
Right.
It's the funniest damn thing because if they had just put the actors in like regular clothes from like their own wardrobe, they'd look less out of place in 2024 than they do in the outfits they put them in if they dressed like they were in the 90s. That's the amazing, like with past tense, part 1 and part 2, like, and so with Picard, we're getting 2023 because they wanted to, I think, set it after the pandemic as close as they can and not
right.
They didn't want to decide if the pandemic happened in Star Trek's universe because, like, there are wars that happened in Star Trek universe at this point that never happened here. The eugenics wars were happened during that episode of Voyager, like they were a number of skirmishes across the world.
What are you talking about? Like just a couple of years ago, we were hearing people talk about Khan Noonien Singh and how great he was
20 years ago, man.
Yeah,
Khan Noonien Singh has been in space since the 90s, according to Star Trek. So no, we weren't talking about Khan a few years ago. We were talking about Khan when you were like 9. The Botany Bay went. Khan built a secret sleeper ship whose designs will later be reused by other stuff because they were super geniuses who built it. And actually, I'll take super geniuses built a better spaceship than what we have right now. Sure, in secret.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. World War III's coming.
Get ready.
Like Star Trek's got a canonical nuclear war coming up in its future. Like it ain't great. But like it's almost like it's overall the first few episodes of Picard have been really good, and I think that this season so far feels far more cohesive than season 1 did. I enjoyed season 1, don't get me wrong, but season 1 they admittedly didn't know how the story was going to end when they started shooting it. So this one they had a full story before they went into it, and also John Delancey's return as Q is great. And they do this wonderful moment where Q shows up looking like he did, and it was like still a 90s Star Trek show. And upon seeing Picard, he says, "You've aged," and snaps and ages into current John Delancey. So it's this wonderful transition.
That's
to
pretty
be
cute.
like,
I like that.
It's like, of course Q doesn't age, but he would do it as a deliberate choice, 100%. So This is a much angrier Q, though. It's pretty great. This is not in a way that makes sense. I'm not going to spoil what's been happening with him, because he's but this is a Q. He feels like Q from 20 years ago, but he's a Q at a very different emotional state than the guy who just showed up to mess with Picard and Janeway, and one time made the mistake of messing with Sisko. You know what I mean?
Oh no, I know.
Yeah,
I'm excited. Yeah.
I mean, it's implied he messed with the entire continuity of the human race to fuck with Picard, so the trial never ends.
I mean, that seems in character, though.
I mean, literally, the line is, the trial never ends.
Oofda.
Yeah, petty gods. But so, yeah, I know this is kind of a big old ramble, but overall, the current season of Star Trek's been pretty great for Picard, and I think we're, going really strong into, that, and, Lower Decks has been really good this year. I really enjoyed Star Trek Prodigy as a kid show. It fits in with Star Trek overall, and
there were creative big idea sci-fi concepts in Prodigy that I think were handled better than some quote unquote adult shows have.
Well,
I'm not gonna lie.
My favorite thing was watching people complain about how there's implied time travel shenanigans with Prodigy. And I'm just they're oh, I'm have you not watched Star Trek ever? Do you know how many times Kirk went back in time?
Mm-hmm.
They're sitting on the edge forever, right? And then you get the time he goes back in time, and and they intercept that one fighter pilot. I forget that. And then you get the other time that there's Gary 7. We get past tense, the trials and tribulations. We get Star Trek in time, Star Trek 4, the entire movie Star Trek 4.
Oh, okay. Yep.
People whining about time travel in Star Trek. I'm have you watched Star Trek?
Mm-hmm.
Time travel's a part of it. It's a big part of it.
Well, I'm happy Trek is still going. I can't wait to sit down and catch up. But, I don't think every sci-fi franchise needs to be going on into perpetuity.
You don't need to go on in perpetuity. Sorry, that was instinctive.
That's my line. Come on. Anyway. So, on that note, just recently, Cartoon Network, specifically Adult Swim, and Production IG announced that they are doing not one, but 2 more seasons of the cult series Footy Cooty. One which will be titled Footy Cooty Grunge, and the other one which will be titled Footy Cooty Shoegaze.
You know how much Footy Cooty I've watched?
How much have you watched?
None, which is why my brain always calls it FLCL.
Which is fair, because that's how it's written. And that's the thing, it's, in my opinion, it's one of my favorite anime. It's by far one of the best things Gainax ever worked on, but I also don't know if I could recommend it to you at this point in your life. So when I first saw FLCL, it was at the right point.
Now I got you to call it FLCL. Ha!
Yeah, so yeah, I'm doing a little bit of both. So the original series is a 6-episode OVA that was directed by Kazuya Tsurumaki. And it is a very fast-paced, very surreal, horny, violent rock and roll coming-of-age story. I was a teenage boy at the time, and the main character is a teenage boy. Preteen.
You were a teenage
kid.
Boy, allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah. I was in fact a teenage boy at one point. That's part of what that's part of why like remembering things about your childhood is super weird when you're trans, just for the record. Um,
Allegedly. Alleged
allegedly.
childhood.
Alleged childhood, yes. And like so the main character is a kid named in the original was a kid named Nauta who is like ending his middle school career, and around that time when things are already his life is already ugly and uncomfortable. Nothing like insanely like abusive or anything. It's just he lives with his grandfather and father. There's no sign of where his mom is. His his brother went to America to play baseball. Um, his brother's girlfriend is a high school girl who has an unhealthy coping mechanism of just glomming onto this middle school boy. And when it's already weird enough for him, suddenly this pink-haired woman named Haruko shows up, whacks him on the head with a guitar, and literal like robots and shit start coming out of his head in extremely phallic imagery.
Mm-hmm.
It's not subtle. Um, soundtrack was I mean the original series is extremely memorable. It's the animation is surreal and beautiful, very very purposeful action scenes that are beautifully choreographed. Great music by Japanese punk rock band The Pillows. It's pretty cool, and it was really special for those original 6 episodes.
Okay.
So it was pretty big in Japan. It ran on Adult Swim here in the US, and it became a cult hit. Huge cult hit.
Mm-hmm.
So much so that some people who worked on it wanted more. But the original creator, the aforementioned Tsurumaki, wanted nothing to do with that. He just kind of wanted it to be over and done with. Problem was that Furikuri was a co-production, so Gainax worked on half of it, or Gainax like was one of the distributors, but the other company that worked on it is Production IG, who you might know as the Ghost in the Shell company.
Gotcha.
Partly founded by Mamoru Oshii and them. Unfortunately, for everybody, Production IG has mostly fallen back on just revisiting things they worked on previously, while meanwhile Gainax has not produced anything of value in the last decade, and everyone who worked for them who had any talent now either works at Trigger or at Hideaki Anno's company Kara. And as it so happens, Kara, a company founded by Anno, the guy who created Evangelion, was a good friend of Tsurumaki and was going to buy the rights of Furikuri out from under Gainax so that it wouldn't get picked up by somebody else. But he was beat in the bidding war by Production IG, who now exclusively own the series. So those guys in Adult Swim went out and they made 2 more seasons of the show.
Oh no.
And they're bad. Like I don't want to be mean, and I have an acquaintance whose wife played the lead in the 3rd season, and like I don't want to knock her getting work, but the show is bad. Both shows are very bad. The stylish animation is nowhere to be seen. We brought back the rock band The Pillows, but at this point they are has-beens. They're not even like a quasi-popular band anymore, and they're really just revisiting their hits, and it shows.
Oh no.
And
like I saw a promo shot, and just looking at the animation style they chose, And I was just like, oh no.
It's flat and
No.
lifeless, and
I mean, they tried to do, didn't they try to do like this, like almost like 3D looking style?
the new one, they're doing the 3D thing.
Okay, yeah.
For the 2 seasons that have already aired, they tried to replicate Tsurumaki style, but
that doesn't work out usually.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that if
you don't have the guy doing it, don't do it.
Insert the "excuse me, sir, we're not Tony Stark" gif here. Because that's honestly that's really what it is. It's the animation of the other 2 seasons was flat and lifeless, but you have this other problem, is that so Furikuri is, and you've seen Furikuri, right?
I have. It's been a while, but I have.
But it says everything that it's out to say in its 6 episodes.
Yeah.
Like, there's really nothing else to say after that.
Because it very much is a story, like, because I watched it, I believe, when I was like in my early 20s.
Okay.
Or even younger than that, but like it definitely, like, it is like perfect for when you're younger.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it is an absolute coming of age series.
Yeah. And like it's I mean, the animation style, it could be touted like almost like an art film. It's just so crazy and out there, and like wild colors and concepts, and like, you know, I was in college going for a graphic design degree, so
and like I'm
that
stealing
art schoolness is just like what you thrive off of, and that's and the story I don't think would hit me as hard anymore.
It's very much it's a product of its time, yes, but it's also, yeah, it really is coming of age is the main thing that it's about. Because is it horny? Yes. Is it violent? Yes. Is it confusing? Extremely. But you know what else is? Puberty. It really is about that moment in your life where nothing makes sense, but everything feels confusing and angry and horny, and it's all there. But also it's that fleeting thing, like youth.
Yeah.
It's that thing that happens once and then you don't really get it back.
And so for them to try to continue the story, it's like, no. This story is like complete. Like, this is it. That's the story.
I would argue to try to finish the story is missing the point.
Yeah. It's like, if your story is this flash of a pan, just like moment, and you try to come back and the moment's gone.
And it's interesting too, because there's in Furikuri near the end, I don't remember which episode, you'll have to forgive me, but the level of detail, maybe some of you will forgive me. There's a scene where Haruko, while talking to Naota, says to him, I'm a when he asks her, what are you really, she responds with, oh, I'm a symbol of the fleeting time of your youth, something that you'll forget about in the next few years. Now, on one hand, that's a reference. That's a quote from the movie Galaxy Express 39. But it's also a nice admission of the main theme of the show. This is about that fleeting part of youth that you experience once, and then before you know it, it's over. But we keep going, like, to keep going back to it is just spitting in the face of that. And it's like, oh, well, but Haruko meets different kids, and she's really the only, like, consistently is there across every show. And it's like, no. Why would you keep bringing her back? Why? What? Go ahead again.
I mean, this is obviously just a ploy to, you know, it's just a money-making ploy. That's all it is. It's a grab at something that was nostalgic and super popular, and this one single character that kind of defined the series, and there so many people love this one character. Oh, let's do a nostalgia piece, continue the story just with the one character and make loads of money because people remembered that one time it was great. And it's sickening.
And like, there's a whole lot of shit in the original Furikuri that's never explained. Like, Haruko is probably an alien. Like, she's probably not lying about that. And she hints at all this weird shit, like about a pirate king and a war going on, like in the stars. But part of what makes Haruko so great is that all that shit's a mystery. And she never does explain it, and that's part of why the show is kind of so great. When you go back to actually explain that, you risk showing too much and ruining what was interesting about the character in the first place.
Yeah.
The river song effect, if you will.
Yeah. Because one of the greatest things that can come from a movie is, or a source of media is, you get to the end and then you want more, but there is none. So you make up your own story about where those characters go and what they do.
And then upload it all to AO3.
Yeah.
You know what? Yes. Yes, that is an important part of it, damn it. I'm just so... I understand that... I understand the urge to make more money. I get it.
Oh, yeah.
And fucking, let's be real. I have no... some people might think it's rich that this is coming from me, the person who likes Gundam and Star Trek and Transformers and Doctor Who. Yeah, all these things that have gone on and on forever. But some things
and Captain America.
And Captain America, yes. But, some of these things were built to last, and some of these things were meant to be a flash in the pan thing.
Ephemeral, even.
Yes. And that's exactly the melancholy, ephemeral undertone of the original Furikuri is part of what makes it great. And every time we try to go back to it, it's just sadder to me. 'Cause I recognize that part of my youth is something that I can never get back. And it's really sad that the Cartoon Network and Production IG people are spending this much money on something that's impossible. That's my kind of trying to sound poetic about it. This sucks. I'm sad.
Oh, no.
Oh,
no. Let's make you feel better.
No, talk about it more, be more sad. No, I'm just kidding.
No, we're going to make Nick feel better.
The only thing that could possibly, and I mean possibly, make me feel better would be to talk about a anime convention held in the Wisconsin Dells in April.
The Wisconsin Dells, where you could see the Nerd and Tie team live do an episode of the Nerd and Tie podcast live in front of you, an audience.
See, I was going to do, we could make Nick feel better by seeing each other in person for the first time.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing.
That's necessary. I do, however, have to pull up the schedule here and plug that on Saturday, April 23rd at 9 p.m. in Panel Room 2, the Nerd and Tie podcast live will be taking place. Right after, at 6 p.m., the Famicom Dojo podcast live, also on the Nerd and Tie podcast network. And
excellent.
At 8 p.m., Two Boobs Watch the Tube live, also on the Nerd and Tie podcast.
Wow! You
can sit down there at 6 p.m. and just not leave until 10 at night and just watch your favorite Nerd and Tie podcasts minus all the other ones that aren't those 3 shows get recorded.
Yeah. You can come and look at our beautiful faces.
And mine.
See us in person.
Your face is beautiful too.
Sure.
I said so.
it's audio. They can't tell.
Well, they'll be able to judge for themselves if they come see us in person.
Exactly. So you should come to Nerd and Tie Live at No Brand Con in the Wisconsin Dells at the Chula Vista Resort. There's a water park if you get bored with our show. Actually, I think the water park's closed that late, so you go to the water
stuck
park
there.
first.
Yeah, I might want to go to the water park. But yeah, you can see us in person. I'll even be doing jokey jokes at night.
I'll be slowly dying because I'm the convention director for No Brand Con.
And I'll be in the artist alley selling stuff.
Yeah.
So will my partner, Ren. So that'll be good stuff.
And those tables are in proximity to each other.
Yay.
Come by, say hi, tell me my cosplay's cute, give us money.
Just come to the convention, pay to get into the convention. That's all I really care about. So No Brand Con is required masks and mandatory COVID-19 vaccination.
Excellent. I'm here for it. This sounds awesome.
Yes.
That turned my mood around entirely. In all seriousness, I really hope to see you guys there. Both you guys, my co-hosts, and the people listening, if you can swing by, we'd love to see you. No Brand is one of my favorite shows. I met my partner there.
We ran the first one in 2002. It will be 20 years since we ran the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Because
legendary.
Because of COVID, it's only going to be our 19th convention, but this is a full 20 years since the first time we ran a con for No Brand Con. So it's this is. Did you know that at No Brand Con 1, a weekend pass was $15?
I didn't know that.
It was only a 2-day show at the time, but
I was at No Brand Con 2 though.
Yeah, prices were higher then. Actually, not much. I think the weekend pass was only $20, $25 that second year. Because that was the second year. Was the first year was when we moved to a 3-day show.
And all because my Boy Scout camp counselor told me to watch Evangelion.
Because your Boy Scout camp counselor was Vink, co-host of the Famicom Dojo podcast, Two Boobs Watch the Tube, and co-founder of No Brand Con with me.
Well, I think listeners can take away from this is Wisconsin is a small state.
Look.
It's full of nerds.
Either that or there's a reason why we happen to know each other.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean...
Yeah, that's true.
Gen just has the misfortune of being from Eau Claire.
Yeah. And having been on No Brand staff at one point.
I chose Eau Claire. Gen was born to it.
Yeah. Not true.
Oh, okay. Well,
I was born in Wausau.
That's a mistake.
It wasn't my mistake. I had no choice.
If you have any say over where you're born, I'm scared of you. I'm just saying that right now. I'm frightened of you.
Oh, man.
That is just giving ideas since we haven't had listener mail in a while. If you want to terrify me, tell me how you chose your birthplace.
That's a challenge, Archimize. Get on this.
Do you teleport the pregnant mom or just the baby?
Is Archimize coming to No Brand Con?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think I saw him on the registration rolls. Pre-reg is still open till the end. So this episode's going to come out on March 28th at night. Pre-registration is open through March 29th. So technically, if you listen to the show right away, there may still be a chance to go buy a ticket. It's so weird, trying to judge, I have no idea how many people are showing up this year. Also, so this is a fun fact. So when we canceled No Brand Con 2020, we had already ordered all of the T-shirts. So we're going to have 2 new T-shirts on sale this year at No Brand Con. The official No Brand Con 2022 T-shirt, and then the official No Brand Con 2020 This Con Never Happened T-shirt will be available for sale. They are different. They are completely different designs. They are completely different styles and colors. The 2020 shirts are pastels, while the 2022 shirt is black. So if you want a new con shirt that is like nice pastel, kind of cute, and kind of a cute design, we got that. If you want one with like more of like a more modern design, but like in black, we got that too. We got a t-shirt for you. Please buy these shirts. We've got cases of them for a con that never happened. I mean, buy the new one too. That'd be great. But buy those old 2020 shirts because no one knows what the hell to do with them. What do you do? You've got boxes full of t-shirts for a con that didn't happen.
You got boxes full of t-shirts. Oh, wait, you actually do. I'm sorry. Anyway.
Yeah. We've thousands of dollars of shirts that we would have normally gone through already. Because we canceled the con 2 days after the order got delivered.
Ugh.
Because some poor fool was... I blame our former merchandise head, Mickey. She had to step down because she's immunocompromised and so doesn't feel comfortable being in the hotel.
Smart move. Like,
understandable.
Yeah, it's... But so she had said, but she was our merch head for 2020, and so she was too on the ball. She was too good at her job. If she had just lollygagged and gotten behind,
right? Like any good head of anything for a con.
Yeah, like geez.
Like if she
why did you have to be a reliable worker? Jeez.
She had to go and be efficient and have like accurate inventories and all this stuff, and then then there was a global pandemic like a week after. Buy a t-shirt. Please, God, buy a t-shirt. But anyways, come to No Brand Con. It's going to be super fun. Actually, it's going to be super fun. We've had to tweak the layout a bit because of COVID. So for those of you who've been to No Brand Con before, we've been running with a pretty consistent layout for a few years in the Chula Vista. We had a different layout the first year we were there. Then we had a pretty consistent layout for the rest of the years that we've been in this venue, but we've had to change it because we used to have this Artist Alley. We had this opening wall that opened up the hall, and it was really nice. And but it's impossible to control who goes in and out of the room. And when we've got people who are staying in this hotel who are not there for the convention, right? And it's between one of the hotel wings and like the restaurants and the lobby and all that stuff. So there's going to be foot traffic going back and forth from that wing of the hotel through there. And if there's like no wall, it's pretty much there's no way to control who goes in and out of the room with that Artist Alley. And so obviously we had to close the wall. But then there's all this wasted space in that room. And so what we did was we swapped that room with tabletop gaming. So the Artist Alley is going to be in a room that actually was in the first year we were at the Chula Vista. It's going to be over closer to registration, but it's in a room. We have far fewer artists than the last time we crammed Artist Alley in there because when we had Artist Alley in there the first time, we had significantly more artists at the con because when we moved from Eau Claire to the Dells, we lost a chunk of attendance and we scaled the room wrong for the amount of attendees we have. So it's actually the exact same number of Artist Alley tables that were in the other room that we had with the opening wall. It's just that it's going to be an alley, like a straight line through to the back. And again, you'll get that layout in your email in about a week or two.
Yay!
But so Artist Alley is going to be there, and tabletop gaming is actually moving into that larger room where Artist Alley was because that's a better use of the space. Also, Anime Theater has been moved down to the ground level. It's where we're no longer doing a separate dedicated No Mercy room all weekend. It's going to be No Mercy nights, where it's going to be the Anime Theater in the day, and then I think it's I have to check the schedule. I think it's like either 10 p.m. it switches over. Yeah, it's 10 p.m. it switches over to the No Mercy room. And
that's smart.
So from 10,
that's something we could have been doing a long time ago.
So from 10 p.m. till 8 a.m. it's the No Mercy room, and I think we're kicking off the No Mercy room on Friday night with a sing-along with Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog, and then we go into like standard No Mercy programming, and then on Saturday night we're doing the Mini Moni movie. So, yeah.
Oh.
The Great Cake Adventure. Yeah. I'm really excited. We cut karaoke this year because we didn't really think of a good way to do it with masks.
Mm-hmm.
We ironically did not cut the lip sync battle. Just we're gonna do lip sync battle
in masks. That's fabulous.
It's
I
amazing.
Love it.
I'm delighted by the fact that I don't know what the heck that event is even going to be like. But we're doing it.
It is going to be, who's gonna rock that one? Optimus Prime and Soundwave. They are gonna be like the undisputed champions of lip sync battle.
If there's ever a year to do an Optimus Prime cosplay.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
This is a good one.
Yeah, if you have an Optimus Prime cosplay and you're not wearing it to conventions this year, you've made poor life choices.
It's true.
Or Melina, quite a few Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, a lot of Mortal
characters.
Kombat
all the Mortal Kombat characters. Or just be weird and do Johnny Cage with a mask on and just confuse everybody. Like, you could have done all these other characters.
Celty would be a good one.
Zero from Code Geass.
Yeah, there are a ton of characters with masks on already.
Ninja. I'm not going to dress up as the Gardening Ninja this year, but I did consider dressing up as the Gardening Ninja, saying, "Excuse me, I'm going to take off my mask," and then reveal the other mask.
Yes.
Yes.
I thought about it, but I cannot get to the Gardening Ninja costume, and I really don't want to put it on because I have to host opening ceremonies as me. So, it would be strange to get costumed up. I don't think we're going to make anybody put on Duct Tape Boy because I just don't think it's safe.
No.
To put
There's no way to clean
costume.
that.
Well, my thought is that their nose is pretty much inaccessible.
Yep.
So they're only breathing through their mouth the whole time, and then we're gonna tape cloth over it, and sweating. I don't think they'll suffocate, but I think they will overheat because we're gonna be cutting off the only ventilation in their entire thing. Unless Nick, you want to put on the Duct Tape Boy costume?
That's a lot to ask of maybe. I'll think about it.
I actually don't know where it is right now.
That could be another way to get in the.
I think I've got the backup mask somewhere in my office here, actually buried in a box. But the main suit is in the storage unit and has not been cleaned.
No.
Ever
since it was made.
They tend to.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think that
what
there's
tends to happen with those costumes is that it gets made, it gets used until it can't be used, and it gets put in a box. A new one gets made, but that one gets damaged, and so we pull out an old one that smells awful and make the person wear it. And it's we've made poor choices. But know that deep down in all of our poor choices that we love you, and just getting the robot. Getting the Duct Tape Boy costume, Nick.
I don't. I feel like that will come if I do that though. It's gonna be me completing my journey to, the alternate universe of ink that no, Look, I've had people ask me if I'm related to Vink. It's weird. It's getting weird.
At least you don't get asked if you're a vlog brother anymore.
Not recently, thankfully. Or Ed Sheeran. I used to get that one a lot.
But you're not a ginger.
You're not a ginger?
I dye my hair red a lot of the time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not that shade.
Not that color,
Not that
though.
shade. Yeah, look, people have bad eyesight, and maybe they're just hopeful. Maybe they're like, hey, maybe Ed Sheeran is going to be shopping at a Locally in Janesville, Wisconsin. That's where I drew the line. It wasn't because when I looked like a vlog brother, at least it was it was like, oh, hey, I need some extra money. Better swing by the movie theater and sign people's copies of The Fault in Our Stars. It was an only kind of fraudulent thing to do. You know.
You're a bad person.
I really am.
And I love you for it.
Thank you.
Anyways,
what a lovely. Well, I can't wait to see you guys next at No Brand. Can't wait to see you listeners. And in the meantime, I feel like we need to do one thing to close this out to make the show feel complete.
The Vomit Hat Steve challenge.
We need to challenge people, Vomit Hat Steve style.
All right. Well, welcome to the Vomit Hat Steve challenge, the part of the show where I read a line from a book, and the challenge to you, the listeners, is to guess what book I am reading from. It's very exciting. I've been reading. I don't know. I keep forgetting which book I'm reading. I'm grabbing the book I think I've been reading. Either way, if you ever do guess, tell me what episode you're guessing from so I can double check that it's the right book. Anyways, if you guess the book correctly, you get included in the Hall of Awesome. Benefits of the Hall of Awesome are as follows. 1, I put your name on the hidden webpage on our website. It's not really hidden, but it's buried and hard to find, where it used to be easy to find, but that's back before it became a full network, and now this is just another show on the network, even though it has the same name as the network, and everything is right in the world. Anyways, the second thing is I read your name aloud on every episode of the podcast, and the third thing is that I will go on a rambling rant occasionally, forgetting where I'm going, lose the train of thought, and then we're all just stuck down this hole of whatever happens to come into my mind at that exact moment, and the next thing you know, you're being featured in a TikTok video of mine in front of 16,000 followers who have no idea what the hell is going on any more than I do. Anyways, the current members of the Hall of Awesome are as follows. Arkham Zero, Reina Innocenti, Cheesy McDamn, Krista, Slithery, Shameless Otaku, The Random Ramblings Man, Corfan, Capito, Chris Graham, Lillisaurus, Paper Godzilla, Cavsy, The Minnesota Librarian, Sean Orange, Keith Shizuo, Sakura Sunset, Joel Kreisman, Patrick Delahanty, Wonderland Hearts, and Megsy Sass Council. I grabbed this book. It is book. It is in hand. Here is your line. It was a cabin. That's it. That's all I'm giving you. That's the line for this week.
Oh.
This month. All right.
It was, in fact, a cabin.
It was
Extra
a cabin.
hard.
That's your line.
Extra hard mode.
Or you could just listen to like the other episodes I've read from this book. Unless I've been reading from a different book in the previous episode, and then I don't know. But I know what book I read from this episode, and that's the book you have to guess to be right for this episode. Anyways. Oh my God! I'm so tired.
All right. So we to close this before Trey explodes.
Everything's fine.
Everything
Call
is.
me Tracy Bonham. Everything's fine. So
I think
there's a
Trey
song
needs to
from the
Trey
90s.
Yeah.
Mother, Mother. It's
Mm-hmm.
the chorus involves her screaming, "Everything's fine." It's.
Yeah.
I'm not going to play it because we don't have the rights to it, but trust me, you can go look it up. Song Mother, Mother. It's
Real song.
It is a song. It is from the 90s. She's a one-hit wonder. She's technically playing violin on that track, although you can barely hear it.
Have giving you a 90s music rec. So we got Trey.
I'm Trey Dorn.
Keeping the getting that art ready. Who are you, Genjamin?
I think I'm Genproc.
And for right now, I'm still Nick Izumi.
Remember, you can follow the show on social media. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/nerdandtie. You can find us on Twitter at twitter.com/nerdandtie. You can find us on Tumblr, nerdandtie.tumblr.com, and you can find us in your heart and in your mind, just creeping behind your prefrontal cortex. Anyways, you can support this show financially by either sponsoring an episode, as we mentioned at the top of the show, contributing to our legal fund at gofundme.com/nerdandtie, or supporting us individually. I have a Patreon at patreon.com/TRAEGORN. Nick's got a Patreon at patreon.com/nickizumi, and Gen sells things at Ocelot Dude
At
Designs.
No Brand Con.
And we'll be at No Brand Con. Yes, remember, this is a wide and harried podcast network full of a lot of shows like BS3 Witchcraft and, Hex Positive and non-witchcraft related shows, I'm told, no matter what you see and hear on the Discord. like Stormwood and Associates, which is great, which also features all of us, and The Meat Grinder, which is great and also features all of us. And but also great things like, again, at No Brand Con you can see live episodes recorded for Famicom Dojo, for Two Boobs Watch the Tube, and for this very show. So you should show up and join our Discord at nerdandtie.com/Discord. Will redirect you to an invite. And remember to subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, anywhere else the podcasts are subscribed to. We have an RSS feed you can plug into other things. And please, on platforms like Apple Podcasts, where you can rate and review, please rate and review us, because that does help us in the magical algorithms.
Give us those 5 stars.
5 stars. 5 stars. Best podcast ever.
Yeah, you tell them, Soundwave.
Soundwave superior. Nerd and Tie podcast inferior.
Damn it.
I can just do that with my voice. I just want to point that out.
That's fun. I like it.
I can just do this shit. Executron. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the Executron.
It is
voice.
the Executron voice was always my Soundwave impersonation. It is that simple, human. You just do a throat singing while using irregular vocal cords at the same time. Anyways, in your hearts and your mind and your soul, at some point in your life, you'll be standing in a dark corridor wondering what way to go. And the answer is forwards, because you're in a corridor. This is not a T intersection. This is not a crossroads. This is a straight line, straight to the end, like everybody's path in life. And the important thing is what you do along the way, who you take along the way, who you talk to along the way. And deep down in your heart, whether or not you knew you were moving forward or backwards, because those are the 2 directions you can go. Because again, as I stated previously, this is, in fact, a corridor.
Keep on sparking in the free world.
Or don't. Remember, Spock is an option that you choose to have or do not have. If you choose not to have a choice, you still have made a choice. At least that's what Rush tells me in their lyrics to their song, which is really Ayn Randian. And really, no one should ever listen to Rush lyrics. You should just, like, enjoy the cool music. And really, don't ever listen to the lyrics of The Trees. It is the worst, and it'll ruin the song for you forever when you really think of the implications set forth. And if you think that Gen can escape, Gen cannot. And that is an allegory for life and the missions that we are on. You know, wait, are cats saying "let me out"? Is that where meows come from?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh
absolutely.
my God! Everything makes sense. We have reached galaxy brain status.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's in the Bible. Probably.
Sound the alarm. Sound the alarm. Okay, I will finally hit stop now.
Sounds good.
I thought you already did.
I thought